at Louisiana State Penitentiary on Monday, May the 9th, 2022. The time is 12:59 p.m. Good afternoon, Warden Falgout. Would you and the staff at Angola please introduce yourself for the record?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. Deputy Warden Tracy Falgout, Regional Admiral Classification.
Jody Sargent, Transition Specialist. Jane Babel, Offender Records.
All right, thank you. We have before us Mr. Thomas. Is that correct?
Willie Thomas.
Thomas, would you introduce yourself to the parole panel, please, sir?
It's kind of hard for me to hear.
Okay. It's kind of hard for him to hear.
Can
Turn
you
it up.
take your little pocket talker out and put it on the table and get it out your pocket? That may help you out a little bit. There you go.
Mr. Thomas, can you hear me better now?
Did she say what?
Can you hear her any better?
Huh?
Can you hear her any better?
Yeah, I can hear, but I can't hear that good. I can hear a little bit, but I can't hear too good.
All right, so Ms. Cole, would you mind helping us communicate with Mr. Thomas if he's unable to hear us?
Yes, ma'am, no problem.
Okay, is he okay with that? Would you ask him if he's okay with that?
Is it okay with me, if you can't hear them, are you okay with me repeating it for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I would like for Mr. Thomas to tell us his name and DOC number.
What's your name and DOC?
Willie Thomas, 80735.
Yes, sir, Mr. Thomas. Let me introduce the parole panel to you. I'm Cheryl Bernatza. Seated to my far left is Ms. Pearl Wise. To my immediate left, Mr. Alvin Roche. To my immediate right is Mr. Tony Maravella. And to my far right is Mr. Pete Freeman.
Did you hear her?
Okay.
Okay? I will read some information into the record, ask you to confirm that information, and then we'll start our parole interview process with you. We do have some folks here today who've indicated they'd like to speak, and at the appropriate time, we'll recognize them and call on them for their comments. Let me ask, go ahead.
There's some people that's going to speak, and at the appropriate time, they're going to call on them. Okay.
And Ms. Cole, would you introduce yourself for the record?
Good afternoon, Jasmine Cole with the Louisiana Parole Project, standing with Mr. Willie Thomas, and with the board's permission, I'd like to make a statement at the end.
Thank you. So we have before us Willie Thomas, DOC 80735, who's currently serving a life sentence for a second-degree murder conviction, for which he was sentenced in June of 2008 in Jefferson Parish. He does have a parole eligibility date, May 14, 2018. And he does not earn good time. So I would ask either Ms. Thomas or Mr. Thomas or Ms. Cole to confirm that information is correct.
Did you hear what she said?
Mhm.
That you were convicted for second-degree murder.
You what?
Convicted of second-degree murder, and you got resentenced in 2018 or 2008.
Yeah,
And
well,
you're,
I pleaded guilty to the second-degree murder charge. So
and you have a parole eligibility date of May 18,
I
2018
have
with no
parole
good.
eligibility date.
Yes.
Yeah. This date here is my parole eligibility date. Yes, 9th month, 5th day, 5th month, 9th day.
Yes, sir. But what parole eligibility means is that date is the time that you're eligible for parole, and this is your actual hearing.
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Thomas's case has been assigned to Mr. Freeman, so I'll turn it over to Mr. Freeman.
Okay, Mr. Thomas, first off, how old are you?
How old are you?
So 79,
Okay, and how long have you been incarcerated?
47 years.
47 years. Okay. What educational level did you achieve?
Well, when I was in high school, I was right around in the 10th grade, and I started back here in Angola, and I caught that Conference 19, and that got me out of class. But I had some other classes that I've been going through, but I didn't finish the GED class because of the commerce.
All right. What are your medical conditions? I see that you go to the hospital quite often.
What do you say?
What's your medical condition?
Well, I was in bad shape at that time. I stayed in the hospital about 4 or 5 months, and right now I'm still having the dizzy spells and short of breath. So they gave me my wheelchair and my what you call that
See,
thing with the air in it, the book. But my health ain't that good.
All right. You know, I was looking over your criminal record, Mr. Thomas, and I see before this instant offense, you had an aggravated burglary charge, which I think you received a 17-year sentence.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that charge, because that's a pretty big sentence for aggravated burglary. What happened in that offense?
Well, me and my Paul partner, we was going to visit his girlfriend, the one who was pregnant for him, having a baby, and then we just left, just went on in people's houses and went in a burglary, and we was wrong for doing that, but that's what we did, and we got caught in it.
Why was it considered aggravated? Did y'all
why-
beat up victims, or was there any violence involved?
The reason for it being aggravated is because when we ran off and ran, the police shot and shot Bernard Jackson.
Okay, now, I've read, and I'm sure all of my colleagues have read the instant offense, so we're not going to keep going over everything that happened. But one thing that confused me, they say that the victim in this instant offense, he was shot before the police started shooting. Was he shot by one of your co-defendants in the backseat of that car?
No, who you said, was I shot?
No,
No, your co-defendant.
Saw them on here now?
the victim in the case, they're
In this
saying
case
that,
here?
yeah, they said that the victim in the case was shot before he was, before the
uh,
started shooting.
Now, to tell you the truth, I heard that somebody in the car was shot, but I was in the car too. But I got shot in the back and I went out. I don't know, tell you the truth, I don't know who shot him, but I know they said somebody was shot in the car. The bullet I got, when I got shot, I still have the bullet in me now. It's in the muscle like in me, and they had me to pass out. I wouldn't know exactly who shot it, but I heard it was a shot, yeah.
Yeah, they said there was 2 shots before y'all ever left the supermarket.
I don't know exactly if it was 2, but if they say it was 2, it was 2, because when we pull in, the car went out and the police just went to shooting in and shot up everybody, shot us all up.
You know, you have very strong family opposition in this and law enforcement, which is understandable in such a horrific case. What kind of classes have you taken at Angola?
Different classes, you say?
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
Well, I took a few classes, and I got one of the paperwork right here in my pocket. For one of them was that 100-hour thing. I got that. I had about 3 or 4 different ones, but it's been a long time ago, and I couldn't tell you exactly how it was or what. But I done took them. I have that. I have the paperwork on it in here in classification, I believe I got it. I've been through a few classes.
Okay. You had a chance to say something to the family. What would you say? I know you said it was a bunch of gunfire, but you're the one that took the hostages. And your co-defendants say you were the leader of this event.
He said, what would you say to the victim's family?
Well, if it's possible, I would really appreciate it if I could say something to the victim family, let them know.
Say it to us, but just tell us what you would say. Don't say it
I
to
would
them.
tell them I'm sorry for what I did, and I swear I hope I can take it back. I pray to God every day, because I realize what these people going through the pain now, the pain and misery that I've been going through. Now I realize that I'm not the only one going through it. The people that was the victim of the crime that I was in, their family is going through the same thing. And I'm sorry for that.
You have a good disciplinary record. You hadn't had a write-up since 2005. Before that, you had 57, but like I say, it's been 2005 that you've had your last one. You got a low Tiger score, you're in minimum custody. Did take a bunch of classes, but I see that you can't really remember what you've taken over all these years.
Disciplinary report, he said that you've taken a bunch of classes and you have a good institutional record.
My institutional record.
He's saying that you have a good institutional record and you've taken a bunch of classes. He's just reading things into the record.
What's about my record?
He's saying that you have a good disciplinary record.
Yeah. Well, in my life, I realized that the things that I did was wrong. And I understand that what made me do this was I was here in this prison and my family came to see me, my son and my daughter, and we were sitting down talking, and when we got ready to leave, my children tried to leave and they didn't want to leave. They want to run and hug their daddy. And the people told us that we couldn't touch each other. And that's the first time I ever felt that bad, because here's my children reaching for me and I can't even. So that made me realize that not only did my family have problems, the victim families had problems too. They had to be reaching for their family and they couldn't touch their family. And I felt all that. And ever since then, I made a promise to myself and I asked God to please to guide me in the right direction. I don't want no more trouble in my life.
What is going to be your transition plan? Where are you going? Where are you going to stay when you get out?
Where are you going to leave if you get out, and what are you going to do?
I wanted to go to Carolina with my daughter and my granddaughter, but I don't believe that'll be the right thing at this time. So I got my brother, Matthews, he's a preacher, and I would like to go stay with him, because what he do, he got a job that he do in the whole neighborhood, and they have a place for me to work. Plus, I do my hobbycraft. Since I've been here in Angola, I learned how to do different purses and wallets and stuff in hobbycraft, and I can help myself, you know.
That's all the questions I have. Anybody else on the panel have any? Warden, any comments you can make, Warden Falcon?
What you said?
Yes, sir. He's been a Class A trustee since 99. Prior to 99, he was working in our plumbing crews, doing a couple of things outside of dorm orderlies. Since 2000, he's consistently worked as a dorm orderly. But if you go back to 99, at that time, he was right at 60 years old. Well, you know, in the late 50s, early 60s, when he got out of the plumbing crews and started working in the dormitories. Like you said, he's had, the last write-up was in 2005, and during this time with us, Mr. Thomas has not been any issue for us.
Sir. We'll hear from the folks who want to speak in favor. Can we hear from Mr. Andrew Hundley?
Andrew Hundley with Louisiana Parole Project, here to talk about what brings us in support of Mr. Thomas's release. First, as the board's aware, Mr. Thomas has this hearing today because he's eligible under Act 280, which allowed individuals who were originally sentenced to parole eligibility in the 70s. As Mr. Thomas, when he received his life sentence, there was parole eligibility at the time. After 20 years, the legislature changed that in the late 70s, but in the 2017 JRI reforms, individuals like Mr. Thomas were given their parole eligibility back. Mr. Thomas, as it's been stated, has served 47 years. He's 79 years old. Our organization works with people who've done long prison sentences to help them reintegrate into society. So our organization would be there for Mr. Thomas immediately upon his release. He would live with our organization for a period of time that we would be comfortable with his reintegration. During that time, we will work with him. As the board's aware, Mr. Thomas has several health issues. He has long COVID. We would work to ensure that his health is stabilized and he has a continuum of care and that he also, to the best that we can do for him, because he is 79 years old, is help him learn soft skills that will help him with his reentry. Mr. Thomas does have a younger brother who he stated is able to take him in and to keep him active in the community. And even after Mr. Thomas leaves our program, which would be after a while, we would continue to stay involved and provide him case management support for the rest of his time, with us on this earth. What we say with Parole Project, once a client, also a client, always a client, and he will have that case management attached to him for a long period of time. Mr. Thomas is, I would like to say he's the oldest individual, the longest serving individual at Angola, but there are a lot of people like him who've been there for a long time and are no longer threats to public safety and calls the staff at Angola, quite a lot of resources that are dedicated to him in spite of him no longer being a public safety risk. We ask the board consider the time that Mr. Thomas has served, his age, and that our organization, as we have with other individuals like him who've served these long sentences, allow us to help him with his reentry. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Could we hear from Ms. Dion Mack, who is Mr. Thomas's daughter?
Yes, I am here. I'm Dion Mack.
Ma'am, we'd like to hear from you now.
Yes, ma'am. I am Willie Thomas's daughter. I just would like to say my dad has always found a way to keep in contact with me. Throughout my career, I go from state to state, and he's always kept in touch with me. I talk to him every Saturday. He gives me advice. He listens to me. We have a bond where if something is wrong with me, he can tell that something is wrong with me. I am 51. I'll be 52 this year. My dad has been gone since I was 4 years old. Mm-hmm. And I have not had a dad since that time to be physically there with me, but he was there mentally. He always made sure his family members came and got me and brought me to see him. And he always encouraged me because with my mom, she kind of tried to keep me from my dad, but my dad always found me. And again, I love him. I would love to have him here with me in North Carolina, just to give him a different scenery. And here we have different shops and I guess in Louisiana they call them flea markets where he can do his leather and sell his leather. And just on the behalf of me and my two brothers, he's been gone a long time, and we would like to spend some time with him before he leaves.
Yes, ma'am. And is Mr. Mack there with you that would like to speak as well?
Yes, I'm Rashawn Mack.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Yes, as my wife said, I would love to see this young man, meet with him, talk with him, take him on a truck with me, because I have a trucking business, so he can see something different and just enjoy his time. And he has left, It's a good man. It's a good man. We've talked, it's a good man. So I'm hoping the best for him right now. Jesus.
Well, sir, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll hear from the opposition. We do have representatives from the victim's family that have joined us, 3 of whom have indicated they'd like to speak. I'd like to call on them now. I'll let them decide who will be speaking first. Person will have 3 minutes to provide their comments.
My name is Linda Michelle. I am Mr. Euclid Michel's widow. On May 7th, 1975, I got that awful call that my husband had been shot and to get to the hospital right away. So therefore, by the time I got there, he was gone. We had no chance. We had no chance. Mr. Thomas, you left us, my family, my 5 children without a father. It hasn't been easy through the years to live and support these children. You are responsible for his death, you and 3 other thugs. So therefore, how can we allow the parole board to let you go? You were sentenced to a lifetime of prison, and that should be held. There's no way that we can allow you to go back on the streets. I don't care how much you say. It's all hearsay. None of it. You don't know if any of that will take place. Yes.
Yes,
Thank you
ma'am.
so much, but I recommend to the board not to let him out. Thank you.
We have someone there with you that would also like to speak. And I'd just like to ask that your remarks be addressed to us, the board, and not to Mr. Thomas.
To the board, not to Mr. Well, who else are you going to address it to?
Someone else who wants to speak?
Yes, my name's Euclid Michel Jr. I'm a son of Euclid Michel. You know, we oppose the parole, and we know the board has the power to deny this this parole. First, you know, we think about justice. People say other things, but this man was convicted of 2nd-degree murder and was given a life sentence. He was also convicted of armed robbery and given 99 years also. There was another man that was in a car with him that was also shot. And, you know, since, you know, this man is deceased, there were police officers that were shot at. So these people just didn't cower down in the back seat. The police officers were shot at also that day. Prior to this conviction in 1963, like y'all talked about earlier, he was convicted of aggravated robbery. He had 17 years and a parole board released him after 5 years. After he got out in 5 years of serving only 5 of the 17 years, he had 14 other arrests in that time frame before, you know, he finally robbed and killed my dad at that hometown supermarket in Marrero, if anyone knows where that's at. You know, I know it's no longer there, and probably because of this crime that the people probably couldn't run their business any longer. You know, the impact that it had on our family. You know, today there's 52 direct descendants. You know, my mom, which was his wife, he had 5 kids. His 11 grandchildren, 6 great-grandchildren. He had 8 siblings, but only 4 of the 8 are still alive. He had 15 nieces and nephews, and 5 of his grandchildren are married now. So he has 10 other husbands or wives in our family. So his direct people that he could have touched were 52, and that's just the tip of the iceberg of the people that man could have touched. But because my dad chose to go to work that day, and this man chose to perform armed robbery, my dad is no longer with us. And everyone that he was associated with does not have his personal touch. So I don't recommend this man being released. You know, I just heard someone say that, you know, he gets to get out because he's of old age. There was an article in the paper, April 18th, a man that just got finished serving 33 years in Angola. He's a 69-year-old man. So 69, 79, I hear 79 is the new 29, but this 69-year-old got out of prison and he just at gunpoint abducted a lady and raped her in Baton Rouge. I think that article was from, I'm glad I read it because y'all may not have read it and y'all know what goes on, you know, when people are released. Other thing,
Yes, sir.
lack of programs.
Wrap
So
it
in
up.
47 years, this man performed 100 hours of service in 47 years. He's not ready. You know, so what we're looking for is the justice to fit the crime. And he's been given all the hope necessary, but he has not done anything to complete his sentence. And the system gave him all of this, gave him life in prison, then they released to 100 years, then he's eligible for parole. And he has done nothing to help himself. But now he sits here saying, I'm ready to get out. I'm ready to get out. I want to see my family. If he would have done something throughout the years, I'd say, you know, maybe we can forgive the man, but we can't forgive the act that this man did to our family. None of us can do that. It happened. He cannot take that back.
Yes, sir. Can you wrap it up for us, please? You've overextended your time. We have one other person, I think, that wants to speak as well today.
If there's anything else to say, he can continue.
Chris will
Chris.
have his time.
I'll give him the rest of my time.
Okay.
I think I'm done. I think I'll, but
So you
like I said, my name is Euclid Michel Jr. and we appreciate if the board denies his parole. Thank you. And Chris is up next.
No, he's not. He doesn't
Oh, yeah.
have to
Pam or Colin?
I can, I mean, if you, I'm just,
say a few words.
my name's Christian Michel. I'm the youngest of Mr. Michel's family. Was 7 at the time. As far as knowing my daddy, no. I hear he's a great man. That's about all I really want to say. And please deny this man. Thank you.
Sir, thank all of you so much for being here with us today and giving us your comments and participating in the process. It's very important. We hear from the DA's office now.
Good afternoon, Randy Myers, Assistant DA Jefferson Parish. And we are opposed to Mr. Thomas's request. Has an extensive record, the nature of this crime, and as stated, he was a leader of the group that took the hostages and eventually ended up with Mr. Euclid Michel being murdered. But one thing that I think is important for the board to look at is at March 15 of 2018, he was denied parole. And one of the reasons for the denial of parole was lack of rehabilitative programming. Since that time, he's taken anger management, which he completed roughly 3 months later, June 14th of 2018. So he hadn't taken any additional programming. Had he done that, he might have been in a better position to be prepared for release back to society. I think he needs to try again and have some more programming before he is allowed to be released.
Yes,
With
sir.
that strong victim opposition, we're also opposed to his release.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Yes, Gordon Falgood, can you verify the programs that he so he did the anger management since his last hearing? Is that the only program? Since then, since May of 2018?
The only thing that we're showing as far as CCRP programming is the anger management in June 14th of 18. Prior to that was the 100 hours in March 11th of 2017. That's all.
Thank you, sir.
And Warren, can you tell us about his write-ups? Excuse me, when was your last write-up, Jim?
Say his last,
205, yeah.
his last write-up, was in August of 2005.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sure.
So we'd like to ask Mr. Thomas, is there a statement you'd like to make to the panel before we defer to Ms. Cole?
Your final statement that you want to make to the board?
To the board.
Yes.
Well, I'm tell you the truth, I'm sorry for what I did. And I'm trying to better myself every day. If every day that I sit and ask God to help me to change to be a better person. I pray to God every day to be that I can be a better person. I want to change my life. Ain't no way possible. If y'all give me a parole, that I'm gonna go out there and do something wrong. I've been away from my family and doing the wrong thing all these years, and now I've got learned in the prison while I was here in the prison, amongst all these people here in the prison, and going on and doing the right thing and keep from doing wrong. I don't want to do wrong no more. I sweat to it. I don't want to do wrong no more. I want a chance to be with my children before I die. I'm 79 years old. I've been in here 47 years. I know I'm better. God helped me to become a better person. And I know I'm a better person. And I haven't had write-ups in years and years. I don't want to do wrong no more. And I'm asking you, please, give me another chance in my life to be with my family.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Ms. Cole?
Thank you. Mr. Thomas is here today because he devoted himself to becoming better. He spent the last 47 years reflecting on what he's done, which has been a catalyst for the 79-year-old man that comes before you today. For starters, Mr. Thomas is a model offender with a great institutional record, one that has been commended by the warden and Camp F staff. He has taken programming, but he has had a setback because of COVID-19. He has been a Class A trustee for more than half of his incarceration, and his extensive trustee status and placement at Camp F proves that he's not only trustworthy, but that he's disciplined, responsible, and ready for release. At almost 80 years old, his age has brought with him increased problems, namely high blood pressure, low sodium, blood clots in his stomach, and most recently, prolonged side effects from COVID that have placed him on a work sabbatical. Nevertheless, Mr. Thomas remained undefeated and has continued to work hard to be the best version of himself. His commitment, despite his setbacks, proves his true desire to change. Mr. Thomas came to prison as an untethered man who lived day to day without a plan. Today, Mr. Thomas has shown his maturity as he plans for his future. Because of his age, length of incarceration, and current health, Mr. Thomas developed a plan that's tailored to his success. Louisiana Parole Project will set him up to be qualified for SNAP benefits, SSI, Medicaid, and doctors who will continue the treatment that he's received at Angola. We will ensure that his health will not be an impediment to his success. And should he need any extra services, his brother can help him get a job. He is fully supported by his family and Louisiana Parole Project and will ensure that he has the mental, spiritual, and emotional support that he needs during this transition and beyond. Mr. Thomas has put in the work to rehabilitate himself. He has a plan, he has unwavering support, and now he needs the opportunity. We ask that you see him for the man that he is today and see his institutional record and his compliance and the work that he has put in for the last 47 years. And we respectfully request that you grant him parole under any conditions deemed necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I think we're prepared to vote.
We're gonna vote.
First off, I want to thank the victim's family for all of their comments. This is a very tough case, but looking at it from what we have to look at, it does not look like he would be a threat to the community any longer. He has a low risk score. Warden had very good comment. At this time, I hope it's granted.
Mr. Roche?
Mr. Thomas,
Yes, sir.
this is very difficult for me. Very, very difficult.
What do you say?
This is a very difficult case for him.
What's the what?
This is a very difficult decision for him to make.
Excuse me, sir, I
Let
understand.
him talk,
Huh?
just let him talk. He's just speaking to you.
Okay,
due to your age, your medical condition, and the length of incarceration, I'm going to vote to grant your request.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. Ms. Lyons?
Mr. Thomas, I too am really, I'm going to concur with my colleagues, and I'm going to grant as well for the reasons that's already been stated on the record. Again, my condolences to the victim's family, and I thank you all for being here, participating in this process today.
Mr. Marabella?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I likewise would commend the courage of Mr. Michelle's family to be here today and speak their minds. Based upon everything that's been said, I also concur with my colleagues. My vote would be to grant your parole as well. You have a good transition plan with the Louisiana Parole Project. You've been in prison nearly 47 years, and you're almost 80 years old. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Marabella. Mr. Thomas, this one too is difficult for me. Based on your age and your length of incarceration, my vote is the same as my colleagues. You've got a good transition plan with the parole project. So today, sir, your parole's been granted.
They granted your parole.
Hmm?
They granted your parole.
thank you very much. I appreciate your sharing. And